So joining us now to break down everything that has happened over the last few days, it's been a very busy few days, is David Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Terrence. Thanks for having me.
So as someone who has studied and followed politics for a while, I'm sure you have a lot to say about everything that we've been seeing, especially considering that rally, also this new news about this case being dismissed. What are your thoughts on what we've seen so far?
Well, this is just really another example the last couple days of a chaotic election cycle, historic election cycle, one that it seems like every time we turn around, there's something unprecedented that's happened again, and it seems like it's going to continue that way until November.
Yeah. How did we get to this point where it's just so contentious and we have the country and world seeing an assassination attempt on a former president? It just seems like things are so incredibly divided and so tense right now.
You couldn't be more right. And I think the one thing for your viewers to remember is that the divisiveness and polarization that we see in American politics today is not new. We've seen it for decades. We've seen it in other eras of American politics. But what is different and something that is really important to think about as context is the effect of social media and how it really allows the rhetoric to get ramped up that much more, right? Where people are very comfortable and very confident when they're sitting behind a keyboard and behind that shield of anonymity. And we know from research that people will not say something to somebody in person that they are more than happy to say on social media.
Yeah. Let's talk about J.D. Vance, Mr. Trump calling him a fighter for the people. Your thoughts on that decision and that announcement made today?
Yeah, interesting. I think your word there, that repeating the one that Trump used about Vance is a fighter. I think that is going to be a theme that you see from the Trump campaign from here on out, and it picks up on the fact that he survived this assassination attempt, got up right after the shots rang out and yelled to the crowd that to fight, right? So I think that's going to be a common theme. J.D. Vance, interesting guy, right? I mean, he's not from the establishment of the Republican Party. He's another outsider, new to politics. The one, I should say, another interesting thing about him, right, is that early on he was a never Trumper and really sort of had a conversion in the 2021, 2022 to be this really staunch supporter of the president. So, I think it's interesting to think about what he might bring to the ticket. Oftentimes we see presidential candidates try to pick somebody who adds, some sort of maybe credential or maybe being from a state that's really pivotal. That isn't the case with Vance, right? I mean, he's from Ohio, which for years was a battleground state, but is pretty solidly Republican now. And you wonder if Trump didn't pick him rather than some other more establishment Republican because he thinks he's going to win, right? Maybe this is a really confident presidential candidate, I should say, thinking that he's going to win the Oval Office.
I want to ask you too quickly, just your thoughts on just the state of politics again, bringing it back to that part of the conversation. You mentioned people going back and forth online. There are some people who are blaming President Biden for what happened in terms of this assassination attempt. Some even blaming Barack Obama. What does this do to the Biden campaign? And on the flip side of that, what does this do now to the former president's campaign as well? Because there are a lot of people who are reinforcing their support for him after seeing that happen.
Well, I think reinforcing is a fine word to use. I think you're going to see a very united Republican Party. You're going to see a resolute Republican Party that's really going to come in and line up behind Donald Trump. Maybe not all Republicans. There's those never Trumpers out there. For Biden, I think that the imagery that came out of that Pennsylvania rally in the aftermath with Trump holding up his fist and the background of the American flag. I think that's going to be put up against President Biden and his debate performance, which showed him to be frail and frankly just looking old. And I think that that's going to be quite the contrast that we're going to see. I think Trump's speech on Thursday is going to be fascinating to watch. We're hearing that he rewrote it to focus on unity, but here's the thing, right? And it's the follow-up that really counts. We've seen all sorts of folks talk about condemning the assassination attempt, et cetera. And we need to ratchet down the tone. Well, talk the talk is fine, but you also got to walk the walk. So we'll see if we finally get some action on that, where the president is going to actually do it, or the former president is actually going to really try to take some steps.
Yeah, whoever takes over, hoping we can see that unity soon. Professor Dulio, thank you.